everyone, welcome back to Reading with Tatiana. Today I'm reviewing Eartheater by Dolores Reyes, and this book was a wild ride. I gave it a 3 out of 5. My Booktuber shout today goes out to a Booktube newbie video tag that I saw. Her page is Between Pages and Places. She actually had an active Booktube channel a few years ago, then kind of went on a hiatus, so she's here to return. So I'll link her channel down below if you want to show her some support. And as always, before I go into my full book review, if you're watching this video, I always appreciate if you hit the subscribe button, give this video a thumbs up, and comment down below if you have read this book or books similar to this, because I quite enjoy it, but I feel this genre is kind of hit and miss for me. And to get into it, this book was published in 2019, and the genre is magic realism. Why I say it's a hit or miss for me is because I read Mexican Gothic, and that's magic realism, and I hated that book. But this book is also magic realism, but I really enjoyed the premise of it. This book to me felt more like a short story though than a full novel, so maybe because it was in a shorter read, it left me wanting more. A bit about the author, Dolores Reyes. So this book I believe is translated. She is an Argentinian writer slash feminist, and a lot of her work she explores. This book is set in Argentina, so a lot of her work is focused on the country's neglect of protecting women in Argentina, and also the disparity between the classes, especially in the slums or barrios of Argentina. A lot of her books showcase the violence that happens against women in Argentina, and also how the authorities don't do a lot to help these women or don't take it seriously. Dolores was born in Buenos Aires, and as I said before, she's a writer, she's a feminist, she's a teacher, she's an activist, and she's also the mother of 7 kids. So she is a busy woman, and yeah, I really enjoyed her work, and I hope to read more of her work in the future. Let's get into the story. So as I mentioned, this book is a wild ride. It is magic realism. So we meet the protagonist, and she's never really quite named, and I think she's kind of like a high schooler or a student of some sort, or maybe just finished high school, and she lives in the slum, in the barrios. And basically the story starts right away with her mother's death, and it's kind of alluded to that her father had killed her mother, and this young woman has a skill, or I guess some curse or blessing, where if she eats the dirt of where someone stood, she gets these visions to see what happened to these victims. Maybe they're still trapped somewhere and need help, or maybe she has a vision of where their dead body is. So basically she has a skill, and then people in this neighborhood, in this burial, in the slum, will come to her and give her dirt to eat, and she'll have these visions, and she'll help find where these missing women are. And this book is just really interesting because it kind of talks about how no one, especially no police or no authorities, are helping look for these missing people. So luckily the main character has the skill to help these people, but it's very draining for her. And this book kind of talks about all these societal, complexities in this slum here, and how there's these different expectations of women, and I don't know, it's just a very interesting read. It really is worth reading, and it's also quite short, so it's quite an easy read in terms of time. Common themes I found in this book is the idea of living in the slum or barrios, especially in Argentina, and how society forms around the relations between the locals and the police. Other one is, as I mentioned time and time again so far, is the idea of violence against women and how it isn't taken seriously. What I didn't like about this book is I felt, like I said, it felt more like a short story, so I just kind of wanted more. I wanted it to be more fleshed out and everything. What I did like though is it's kind of like a slice of life in that it just starts suddenly, there's action, and then it's gone, and I really like that. And you're just kind of thrown into the thick of the protagonist's life, which sometimes it's kind of nice too. I don't know, I think I would have liked this a lot more if I knew it was a short story, or it was classified as a short story. But I think because I felt it was a novel in book form, it was lacking. But I think if I change my perspective and that's a short story, I really quite enjoy this. On Goodreads, this book got average of 3.62 out of 5. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to read a majority of the reviews because this was a translated book, so a lot of the reviews were in Spanish. Bad reviews were people just didn't enjoy it because it wasn't their genre. They found it hard to follow, which I can understand. And reasons why people liked this book was they liked the first person voice of the protagonist. They felt that she was super interesting, she was compelling, and people who do like this genre of magic realism really enjoyed this book. I think you should read this book if you want to delve into magic realism because it is a interesting genre and there's so many ways to go about it. I feel this book is like not too much of a commitment if you want to read, or explore magic realism. But obviously, if you do love magic realism, I definitely recommend you should read this book. Now I'll share how this book made me feel, because if you ask me a week, a year, 5 years from now, I probably won't remember exactly what the book was about, but I'll also remember how it made me feel. So this book, it made me feel unsettled. Like, it's magic realism, it's creepy, you don't know what's going on, you don't know what's going to happen next. It made me feel unsettled, but in the way that I wanted, because I knew the genre that I was going into. It actually reminded me of this book I read last year or 2 years ago by a Croatian author, Christian Novick, called Dark Mother Earth, and that one was also very interesting and unsettling, because that was about like a slew of suicides that happened in all these like rural villages. Anyways, the book made me feel unsettled, but in a good way. Thank you for watching until the end of my book review for Eartheater by Dolores Reyes. If you've read this book, I'd love to hear what you thought down below. If you have any recommendations for me for magic realism books, please comment down below, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!